That's the scary thought for anyone that are Ilia Topuria fans. Because if there's anyone that could replicate that game of Makhachev, or at least to a degree, Arman Tsarukyan.
Yo, mira, pues tengo a Paddy en la mente. Me gustaría pelear con Paddy si es que no me dejan subir en peso welter para pelear con Islam, porque el combate que realmente me gustaría tener es en contra de Islam en la tercera categoría.
He's trying to find easy fight and to defend that belt and go up, and UFC trying to make him to be a superstar and defend the title.
After a dominant win at UFC Qatar, Arman Tsarukyan is eyeing to fight for the lightweight title, but Ilia Topuria is still not interested in facing Arman. However, UFC legend Daniel Cormier believes Arman is the biggest threat to Topuria at the moment in the lightweight division. Meanwhile, Arman Tsarukyan calls out Ilia Topuria's inactivity since June and says Topuria is trying to look for easy fights while holding onto the belt and talking about moving up. He says the UFC is trying to build him into a superstar, but he cannot move up to 170 without properly defending his title first, and adds that to be seen as a real champion, Topuria has to prove it by defending the belt.
Do you have any idea what's going on with him right now? He hasn't fought since June, and we don't know, Charles has fought.
He's trying to find easy fight and to defend that belt and go up, and UFC trying to make him to be a superstar and defend the title, because right now he cannot go up to the 170 because he didn't defend the title. Why he gotta go 170? You gotta prove that you're a real champion.
Daniel Cormier believes Arman Tsarukyan is the real top contender to face Ilia Topuria. In his view, Paddy Pimblett is entertaining and has a strong future, but the two best lightweights right now are Arman and Ilia, especially with Islam Makhachev competing at a higher weight. He also feels it was strange for Paddy to enter the octagon and confront Ilia after he won the belt, since beating Michael Chandler did not truly earn him that moment in the title picture.
I think Paddy Pimblett's fun. I think Paddy Pimblett has a bright future in fighting, but I believe that the two best lightweights in the world, if Islam Makhachev is now the welterweight champion, it's Arman Tsarukyan and Ilia Topuria, bro, and that's not even in question anymore. I thought that Paddy Pimblett getting in the octagon after Ilia won the belt was, to me, it was a little bit odd, because I didn't feel like him beating Michael Chandler should have warranted him being in that spot. I thought that the biggest issue would be trying to do away with the images of Paddy in the cage with Ilia after he became the champion.
Daniel Cormier believes Arman Tsarukyan is the biggest threat to Ilia Topuria. He points out that Arman is big, strong, can wrestle at a high level, and also has solid striking and control on the ground. In his view, that complete skill set should worry Topuria's fans, because Arman is one of the few fighters who could bring a similar type of pressure and control that Islam Makhachev uses.
But then when you watch Arman Tsarukyan last weekend, bro, he's big, he's strong, he can really wrestle, he can strike, he can do just about everything, and his top control is what's a real issue. And I believe that's the problem. That's the scary thought for anyone that are Ilia Topuria fans. Because if there's anyone that could replicate that game of Makhachev, or at least to a degree, Arman Tsarukyan.
Arman Tsarukyan also plans to dominate Ilia Topuria with elbows and finish the fight by TKO. He envisions breaking Topuria down, targeting his face with strikes, and securing a decisive stoppage.
Все видели, что ты сделал сейчас с Хукером, видели брутальный финиш с Дариушем из последнего. А ты вот мог бы в красках описать, как бы ты хотел завершить бой с Топурью?
Топурию я бы хотел забить локтями, просто изрезать все лицо и закончить ТКО.
Кстати, вот если говорить про лицо, ты видел Хукера лицо?
Да.
Сейчас просто вот сразу открыл, покажу.
Покажи. Жалко Хукера. Вот еще вот другой глаз еще так же сделать Топурия, вообще будет бомба.
On the other hand, Ilia Topuria is focused on moving up to face Islam Makhachev, but if that opportunity doesn't come, he is looking at a fight with Paddy Pimblett instead. In his mind, the real goal is testing himself in a third weight class against Islam, but Paddy becomes the next option if the UFC blocks that move.
Digo, ¿quién quiere combatir Ilia Topuria?
Yo, mira, pues tengo a Paddy en la mente. Me gustaría pelear con Paddy si es que no me dejan subir en peso welter para pelear con Islam, porque el combate que realmente me gustaría tener es en contra de Islam en la tercera categoría.
Arman Tsarukyan reacts to Ilia Topuria's statement by saying it's clear that Ilia is doing everything he can to avoid fighting him. Arman Tsarukyan said, "Could it be any more obvious that El Pato is doing everything in his power to avoid fighting me?" Arman Tsarukyan also shuts down any suggestion of Paddy Pimblett getting the next lightweight title shot, insisting that he is the clear #1 contender. He says giving Paddy the fight would be ridiculous and that everyone would laugh because the title shot unquestionably belongs to him.
Do you think you will be next for Ilia Topuria? Do you think you convinced the UFC to give you the next shot at him?
It's 100% gotta be me. No way they can give Paddy Pimblett fight. Everybody gonna laugh at them because I'm #1 contender. I proved it again, and what do they want from me, you know? And I went there, performed, just destroyed Dan Hooker, and they wanna put the guy who is fake making rank.
Arman Tsarukyan further criticizes the lightweight rankings, questioning how Paddy Pimblett jumped into the top 5 after beating lower-ranked opponents. He points out that he had defeated multiple fighters in the division and was on a 5 or 6 fight win streak just to reach the top 15, while Paddy only beat 1 or 2 and immediately entered the top 5.
Did you see he moved up to 5 now this morning? Did you see that?
Bro, how you can beat like a #12 or #13 and became #5? I was beating everybody in our division. I beat like 5. I was on the 5 or 6 win streak to get in top 15, you know, and like this guy just beat 6 people and like he's #5.
Islam Makhachev believes Arman's dominant performance against Dan Hooker shows he deserves a title shot. He expected Arman to win, but the way he controlled the fight impressed him, confirming that Arman has earned the chance to compete for the belt.
Вчера Арман Царукян одержал уверенную победу. Впечатлил ли тебя Арман?
Ну, я так и предполагал, что он выиграет, но не так доминирующе думал, выиграет. Я думаю, Арман уже заявил, доказал, что он заслуживает титульный шанс и, наверное, будет драться за пояс следующим.
Meanwhile, Ilia Topuria is aiming for a matchup with Islam Makhachev for a special pound-for-pound type title at a catch weight. He feels he could take one more fight first, then make the move up in the summer, or the UFC could even create a unique belt for them to battle over at a middle ground between their divisions.
Lo vi como que con cero ganas de realmente estar en el combate, ¿no? Islam finalmente hizo su trabajo, lo que siempre hace, pelear súper aburrido, le da igual el público, que no es la forma en la que yo veo y me proyecto en este deporte, porque yo siempre apuesto para entretener a todo el mundo, de que la gente cuando invierte su tiempo, sus recursos para ir a verte, que realmente estén contentos de la inversión que hacen. Pero bueno, ojalá ese combate suceda también. Yo creo que sería un combate de altísimo nivel.
Islam Makhachev has also made it clear that he won't move back to lightweight unless the offer is very significant. He explains that cutting down to 155 takes a heavy toll on his body, and at this stage of his career, it's much harder than it used to be, so only a big enough incentive would make him consider it.
Ислам, если UFC тебя попросят провести бой с Ильей Топурией в 70 килограмм, согласишься ли или теперь только 77?
В 70, я думаю, это должно быть слишком хорошее предложение, чтобы я опять начал вес гонять в 70 килограмм, так как я уже не молодой тоже в этом виде спорта, и каждая весогонка забирает тоже годы здоровья и уже не так легко, как раньше вес гонять.
Ilia Topuria also shares that he is disappointed by JDM's performance against Islam Makhachev, explaining that he sees JDM offering zero resistance and looking completely unwilling to even be in the fight. He also called Islam a boring fighter and said the Dagestani simply does what he always does and fights in a boring way without caring about the audience.
Bueno, Islam ahora se ha convertido en campeón de peso welter. La verdad que me decepcionó muchísimo su actuación, pero más que su actuación, la que me decepcionó más fue la actuación del campeón pasado, de Jack de la Madalena. La verdad que lo vi poniendo cero resistencia, lo vi como que con cero ganas de realmente estar en el combate, ¿no? Islam finalmente hizo su trabajo, lo que siempre hace, pelear súper aburrido, le da igual el público, que no es la forma en la que yo veo y me proyecto en este deporte, porque yo siempre apuesto para entretener a todo el mundo, de que la gente cuando invierte su tiempo, sus recursos para ir a verte, que realmente estén contentos de la inversión que hacen.
However, Topuria says he is hopeful the fight with Islam happens, believing Islam would be desperate to secure control and recover, while he would bring intense energy and ultimately put him to sleep and get the job done.
Pero bueno, ojalá ese combate suceda. También yo creo que sería un combate de altísimo nivel, de la que la gente disfrutaría muchísimo. Verían a un Islam muy desesperado por intentando llegar a una posición dominante para coger aire, y me verían a mí con muchísima chispa de ponerlo a dormir, que finalmente lo conseguiría.
Meanwhile, Nate Diaz takes a shot at Islam and calls him a boring fighter, while also questioning his place at #1 pound for pound, saying Islam has not beaten anyone truly special and that his recent fights are so forgettable they just come off as boring, and he dismisses the idea that Islam's name should even be in the pound for pound conversation.
In your opinion, who's the #1 pound for pound fighter right now in the UFC?
Who's in the UFC right now? John for sure.
What about Islam?
They just throw that shit. They just throw shit out like that. He's been here for like 2 minutes and he ain't beat nobody that's great.
Oh.
And they think is hating, but I'm like, that's because we got our differences. But there's shit that I've seen that I'll just remember forever. So when you get that like that, and you got whatever Islam did, and it's like that don't even match. Like I ain't seen nothing from them. I can't even remember anything but getting bored in his all them fools' last fights. So that name shouldn't even be thrown at those guys. Yeah.
However, Chael Sonnen believes Islam Makhachev should have never been removed from the #1 pound for pound spot. He says it's surprising that Islam's victories and the inactivity of fighters like Topuria haven't kept him at the top, and questions the logic behind ranking someone above him without even facing him. Sonnen feels the committee owes an explanation, noting that simply beating Jack Della Maddalena doesn't justify jumping ahead of Ilia Topuria.
I'm a little surprised that Islam getting a victory, and in the absence of Topuria fighting at all, I'm not quite sure how we flip-flopped. I think that maybe the committee owes us an explanation. The more appropriate explanation is we never should have taken Islam out of #1 to begin with, but they did. That was the choice that they did, and once they did it, I don't know what their argument for getting that back is. Just by example, the next guy that beats Jack, does I expect him to be at #1? No. Do I expect Jack to be at #2? No. Then how does beating Jack get you to #1 and get you in front of Ilia without throwing a single punch at Ilia? Like, this is the day-old argument. This is nothing new. But I like Nate's point, and I do understand his point.
George St. Pierre also defends Islam Makhachev, describing his performance as truly brilliant. He watched the fight and was impressed that Islam barely took any damage, saying that anyone who calls it boring doesn't understand fighting. St. Pierre also praises how impressive it was for Islam to move up a weight class and dominate Jack Della Maddalena.
Right now, I think the best pound for pound is probably Islam Makhachev. I mean, I was there, I witnessed his performance last Saturday. It was freaking brilliant, unbelievable. I don't think he even took a punch. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
A lot of people there would be, oh yeah, it was a decision. These people who says that, I'm sorry, because they don't know the art of fighting. They have no idea. They don't understand the art of fighting. His performance was freaking amazing. You know, like yeah, the fight, you know, was not a flawless victory with a crazy submission or knockout, but the way you're going up in a weight class and beat Jack Della Maddalena like he did is freaking hard, man.
I thought it was. On the other hand, Arman Tsarukyan admits that the headbutt at the weigh-ins was a mistake and that he lost control in the moment. He explains that he tried to stay calm and not show emotion, but within seconds he reacted automatically and couldn't control himself, acknowledging that it was a dangerous lapse.
At the ceremonial weigh-ins, you headbutted him, and this drew some criticism. The likes of Max Holloway and other fighters said this wasn't very smart. The fight could have gone canceled. You could have got hurt. He could have gotten hurt. Why did you do this?
I mean, you know, if you ask me now, that was my fault. That was a big mistake. I shouldn't do that. But you can control yourself, you know. especially me, I don't know, yeah, on my mind, okay, I'm going there and be quiet. Coach said, be quiet, no emotion, just go there, stay, don't even like try to push him or like to show emotional. Yes, I said, yes, coach, no problem. And like in 5 seconds, I just boom, you know. It's like automatically, you know, I cannot control myself first 5-10 seconds. That's why it's a little bit dangerous. On my mind, yeah, I'm super quiet, but someone when try to scare me, you know, or like to show like some crazy things, and I'm going crazy so fast.
Arman Tsarukyan shares that he is surprised by how Dan Hooker handles the situation, explaining that Hooker could have used the headbutt at the weigh-in as an excuse to walk away and still get paid, but instead he stays composed and shows toughness. And Tsarukyan says he respects that mindset and sees him as the real deal for not overreacting.
If you ask me now, that was my fault. That was a big mistake. I shouldn't do that, but you can control yourself, you know, especially me, I don't know, yeah, on my mind, okay, I'm going there and be quiet. Coach said, be quiet, no emotion, just go there, stay, don't even like try to push him or like to show emotional. Yes, I said, yes, coach, no problem. And like in 5 seconds, I just boom, you know. It's like automatically, you know, I cannot control myself first 5-10 seconds. That's why it's a little bit dangerous.
On the other hand, there are rumors about a BMF title fight between Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. Max Holloway is also ready for that fight and still considers himself the best boxer in the UFC. He explains that regardless of what others say, he believes in his own skills and credits his self-confidence for being one of the top fighters in the world. Holloway adds that online critics won't affect him or shake his mindset.
I think a lot of people are going to tell me like, you're not, blah, blah, because of the fight with Ilia, but it is what it is, bro. That's your problem. If you don't think I'm the best boxer in the UFC, that's something you need to take up with yourself. When I look myself in the mirror, I tell myself I'm the best boxer in the UFC, and that's why I'm one of the best fighters in the world. You know, you need, you just need self-confidence. What it is, you know, no internet guy that lives with his mom that's talking to me on his mom's internet is ever gonna shake me. You know, everybody's like, oh, why you reply to them? Because it's funny. You know what I mean? Like, I love to, like, you know, cause a little drama here and there. Talk back to them, but it is what it is, man. Half of these guys don't even have real pictures of themselves out there, and they don't even use their real names. So their self-confidence is not where it needs to be. So I am who I am.
Max Holloway also shares his thoughts on the possibility of fighting on the White House card. He thinks the idea is cool, especially with the small crowd of about 5,000 in person and tens of thousands watching on screens, but he's unsure if he'll actually be on the card. Holloway adds that it would be disappointing if his family couldn't have seats close by, since he's used to having them ringside as he's worked his way up in the UFC.
Thing with John Jones coming back, I think the card idea is cool, but I mean, there's no American champion. I mean, the only American champion is the BMF title. So you're looking at the man. So am I going to be at the card? I like my odds of being on it, but I don't know too much. I really wanted to be on it because I heard that's only going to have like 5,000 people on the lawn. And then they're going to have like across the street, they're going to have like 80,000 people at screens watching and stuff, which is cool. But the 5,000 people, I don't know if my family would be able to have seats there. So at the end of the day, it kind of sucked not having your family members there, you know, especially when I worked my way up so high in the UFC to where I'm so used to having them in like really close ringside and stuff, and them just being there.
Max Holloway believes his chances of being on the White House card are probably high since there's no American UFC champion and he holds the BMF title. He explains that first, he needs to recover from his injury and hopes to fight early in the year, around March or April, to stay active. If the fight is held in June as planned, it would mean a long wait since his last fight in June of the previous year.
The odds of me being in there is probably high, like I said, because there's no UFC American that's a champion, but me with the BMF title. So we'll see what happens. You know, first things first, just get you this injury, and hopefully I can get a fight early in the year, like around March, April, and see if I can do a turnaround. If they hold me, it's just so long. Like, I know I fought Cormier in June, And the card is going to be in June, so that'll be a long wait for me.
Max Holloway questions why Charles Oliveira is ranked above him in the lightweight division. He explains that after beating Dustin, he should have been ahead, but then Oliveira fought a lower-ranked opponent and suddenly moved above him, leaving Holloway confused about how UFC rankings are determined. Max Holloway said, "Me beating Dustin puts me ahead of him, which I was ahead of him for some time. Then he fought someone who was like ranked number 10, then all of a sudden magically moved above me without me fighting, so I don't know how the UFC rankings work." That's all we have from today's video, and we hope you enjoyed it. Share your thoughts in the comments section, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing MMA videos.